What is it like being a widow? What has my journey been like? Maybe you know someone who's walking through that right now, and maybe there's some tips and things that you just don't know and you're not quite getting, and you need a little bit of guidance walking with them and supporting them. This is that video. And if you are a widow and you are walking through that season, and maybe it's early in, maybe you've been in it for a while, want to just touch heart to heart with you to support you in whatever it is that you're facing right now, give you that little boost of motivation, but then also give you grace to be raw and real and express who you really are and what you really feel. So join me in my journey as a widow. I didn't plan to do this video today. Today actually marks the 10-year date that started me on this journey, that made me a widow. So this day 10 years ago, my first husband Brandon passed away, and I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do today. I'm usually really reflective, and today I just kind of felt like I wanted to do this because I remember that night so vividly, and I remember what I went through, and I remember not feeling as if anybody truly knew what I was going through, and never could quite find something that spoke to me. Either I found things that were geared towards women whose husbands were in law enforcement or first responders, things like that, or army wives, but I didn't find anything for a businessman. And I didn't find anything that was just kind of like in your normal day to day. I saw things on losing your husband through sickness, and nothing quite that fit my niche. And so that was one of the reasons. But then the other thing too, I didn't really find a lot of things for widows who had no children, who were young like me. I was in my early 20s when I became a widow, and I didn't find anyone that looked like me that was going through something similar to me. So that for me, that was a gap that I definitely wanted to fill. And I do talk more about my story in another vlog that's posted. That's When God Breaks Your Heart, my story. So definitely check that out. I'll put the link below. But for this one, I wanted to make it very specific to widows and anyone walking through or supporting a widow. So one of the first thoughts that I remember having that night that I found out over just a horrific couple of hours that what had happened, one of my first thoughts was, oh my gosh, he's not coming back home. He's not coming back home. He's not walking through that door again. But then we're never, ever, ever going to do the nasty again. Like we were never, there goes my sex life. Like my sex life had died with him. That was it. It was done. And I should be blushing as I say this, but I'm not, because I just remember feeling so much shame for so long that I had even thought that. Right? No one said that in any of the books that people gave me, anything like that. No one talked about the sex. No one said, oh yeah, that's like, and for me, that was major. We were still newlyweds. I had been a virgin when I got married. So that was a huge part of what we did. That was pretty much what we did all the time. And so for it to be just gone in an instant, just like that, after waiting for so long, you talk about feeling like, God, life's not fair. What have you done to me? And what am I going to do now? That was my reality all of a sudden in an instant. And like I mentioned, the shame and the guilt of even thinking that, like, who does that? Who thinks about sex first and foremost? Well, I did. And maybe I'm the only one, but maybe I'm not. I just want to let you know, if that's you, like, you're fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. Doesn't mean you loved him any less or that his memory isn't to be honored anymore. The other thing, though, I also remember was just feeling a lot of scrutiny. A lot of people were just kind of watching me as if there was almost like there was this unwritten list of rules that a widow should follow that I didn't know, because clearly I'd never planned to be a widow. And yet I was expected to conform to that paradigm. And that was so much pressure. What should I wear? Should I just be wearing black? What am I wearing to the funeral? Who will I be seen with? How soon is too soon to consider dating someone? Or like be seen talking to a man? And, should my fashion sense change? Should I become more conservative? Things like that. And I just wrestled with that. I remember just feeling like sometimes people just looking at me like, were you crying last night? Are you okay? Are you eating? Are you depressed? Are you this? Are you that? And is there a possibility that you could be pregnant? I mean, I got questions and looks and things, man, y'all. And I know these people meant well, but it was just a lot. And just quite frankly, too much prying. And so if you are walking with someone who's going through a season of being a widow, the best advice that I can give you is to be quiet. Let them set the tone and give you the cues on what's okay to say and when to ask questions, because they're wrestling 9 times out of 10 with tons of things. And if they have kids, they're thinking of, okay, now I have to be mom and dad. Now there are things that you can't even begin to imagine. And so to add pressure to that by asking additional questions that they definitely won't have answers to, or that might even make them feel guilty, It's just no one. We just don't want to do that. And another thing that I also remember, this new reality that I was now in, it also made me resist this new title, because I went from I'm wifey, I'm Mrs. this and da 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 da, and here's my ring and woo woo woo. And now it's just like this instant cloud of shame as soon as you say, well, I'm actually a widow. So the term widow, like, I resisted it for so long because the nature, the very definition of it tells everybody what you went through, puts all your business out there, and who wants that? So now, I'm wrestling between, am I checking single? Am I checking widowed? And then if I check single, it's like I'm not acknowledging that I was married before. And is that honoring his memory? It just a lot to wrestle with. So here's what I'm going to say to you. If this is you, do what feels right. Some days I checked widow, some days I checked single, and some days I left it blank. So, and I mean that literally in just even how I approach life. So don't feel like you have to conform to this expectation or this weight of this new title that you didn't ask for. Let that flow and you make it what it is. And if you do embrace it, make it what you want it to be. Don't let anyone define that for you. Another question that I would get sometimes was, you're going to still wear your wedding ring? Or how soon are you taking it off? Are you taking it off? For me, once again, personal decision. Whatever makes you feel good. For me, it was a wrestling, and I eventually did take it off. And I repurposed it into a different piece of jewelry. Some women choose to switch it to another hand. Some women choose to continue wearing it or put it around their neck. Whatever makes you feel good. You don't owe the image of, okay, but I'm still honoring his memory and I'm still this and this and that. Goes back to the idea of, do I still have pictures of him around the home? I personally do not. If you do, more power to you. Whatever makes you feel good. And I'm going to continue to say that because I remember feeling just horrible, right? I almost felt like I was being selfish because I wanted to keep my grief to myself. But you also realize at the same time that everyone who knew him and loved him, his family, his friends, his coworkers, they're grieving too. And so sometimes for me, I was so deep in it that no, I didn't think about anybody else. And that's okay. That's okay. There are going to be some times that you're just going to need to be about you and really take care of you, and hashtag self-care, right? Because if you have nothing to give, there is no way that you can be there for anybody else. And so make sure that your health, your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health is a priority for you, and take it slow. Give yourself grace to feel. Give yourself grace to not feel. There were some days I just didn't want to be reminded. And then there were some days I just wanted to cry from the pits of my soul. Whatever makes sense for that moment. And in all of this, the overarching thing, if you don't get anything from this video at all, is that you are not alone. You are not facing this valley alone. And I know it feels like that because this is your pain. This is your story. This is your painful life interruption that you didn't ask for, but now it's all over the place, right? And so, yeah, you do kind of feel the sense of ownership, like I'm going to do what I want to do, how I want to do it, and I'm going to walk through this, how and when and all of that. But within all of that, there's still balance, right? And so make sure you are connected to a core group of friends, of accountability partners who can kind of check in on you when you need it. Because I can look back and say, if it wasn't for certain key people in my life, right? If I didn't have them, I wouldn't be right here, because they knew enough to push and kind of uplift the mask up a little bit and go, are you really good? Are you really okay? But then they also knew me well enough to know this is time to back off. This is not time to be pushy. And so just kind of be sensitive to that if you are walking with someone going through the season, or if that's you, don't feel like you have to just be happy for everybody and put on this face and, yeah, I'm going through it, and 6 months later, I'm good. And because I did that. I was trying to rush through my season. I remember that first birthday without him. Oh, you couldn't tell me nothing. I was happy. I had my makeup done, hair done. And I was just like, yep, this new me. Here's the new dimension of my life. But I wasn't being honest with myself and giving myself the grace to just take it slow. And I did feel that pressure. You're still young. There's still time. You'll find someone else. And you just kind of feel like, okay, I guess I do got to wipe these tears and pull myself together quicker than I thought. You don't. Just take your time. Walk through it. And yeah, there's going to be one day you look up and it's not bleeding out of you. It's not hurting you as bad. It's not tormenting you. It might sting. Then you're going to look up one day and it's like, oh yeah, oh, it's that scab. Then you're going to look up one day and it's this faint scar. And when you look at it, you'll smile, you'll remember, but it just, you can't even invoke the pain anymore because it's just not there anymore. But take your time through that. You're not in this by yourself. So if there's anything that I can do to support you, like I mentioned before, I do go through more deeper details of my story in that other vlog that I'm going to link to it. But I also wrote my book, Deep Waters, Trusting God When Your Feet Can't Touch Bottom. So definitely feel free to pick up a copy of that. I'm going to also link that in the comments below. But you are not alone. Your journey as a widow is your journey. So make it personal, make it real, make it yours. And also understand that through this, that doesn't mean that from now on, that's it. Like, you can never marry again and, no one else is going to want you. Absolutely not. Just get well. Get well for you, and those good things, those good people, you'll attract them at the right time. So I hope this blessed you. I hope this spoke to something that you needed today. And let me know below, and we'll be in touch. Until next time. Bye, y'all.